Everyone can admit that 2020 was a very strange and unique year, to say the least. Living through a pandemic was something a lot of people have never experienced, and who would have thought that it would still be going on today? Living through a pandemic affected both people both negatively and positively, and we're going to look into that today. So, the large majority of Americans, around 89%, identified at least one negative change in their life, whereas a lower percentage, around 73%, mentioned at least one unexpected benefit, which that would be a positive too. But before we look into that, let's go to our negatives. So the first one, of course, is death. A lot of people were dying. It was really, really sad time, and I just remember watching the news and seeing how many people died in New York City within a day. It was just an insane amount, and it was so sad. The second one is mental problems. So that's meaning anxiety, depression, all of that kind of stuff. Just things that took you on mentally rather than physically. And the last one is just a new sense of living. You had to relearn how to do things, whether it was going to the grocery store with a mask on or shaking someone's hand. You couldn't do those things. Thankfully, it's safer now, but still you can catch COVID. So let's move to our positives. Our positives include you got to be with your family during quarantine, which to me that's wonderful in itself. The next one is finding new hobbies. I love to paint now and tie-dye because of the quarantine, which I think is awesome. The third one is mandatory relaxation. So meaning you couldn't go out and proceed with your busy life, so you just had to stick to relaxing at your house and just staying there and watching movies or whatever you like to do. So in Parade magazine, I found that research said 55% of survey respondents have experienced an increase in mental health issue since the start of the pandemic. And in that same article, I found that overall, 41% of those same people said that they were so distracted by the news of COVID and information that they couldn't even pay attention anymore because of how overwhelmed they were with hearing everything. During this time, a lot of nurses, doctors, hospital staff, etc. were under a lot of stress and couldn't handle it either, just as we were. But of course, in my opinion, they were in the worse than we are. They were around it more. Their mental health declined a lot, and some even had mental illness from it. Let's examine ways the pandemic affected mental health. So, the first one would be depression. Many people were dying then and now, and it was very sad. You also kept inside your house, and you weren't, because you had to be safe, and you weren't able to go out and about your life, which was terrible. And going back to the first part with dying, my friend's dad just recently passed away, and he is like one of the sweetest people ever. And it's just so sad to see them go through a depression and having to go get help, and it's so sad. The second one is anxiety. So you're stressed, you feel stressed out with everything happening around you, and you can't do anything about it. And actually 1 in 10 adults reported symptoms of anxiety or depressive disorder, which is, again, very, very sad. The third one is insomnia. Although it's not really considered a mental illness, insomnia has taken a huge toll on people during the pandemic. The thought of the virus and how many people it was killing is just one of the reasons that it could keep you up at night. The fourth one is substance abuse. A lot of people actually turned to it during the pandemic because it's the only thing that they had to do and to get their minds away from what was actually going on in the world. The next one is suicide or suicidal thoughts. Many people had shown to have suicidal thoughts in quarantine. Again, people were depressed from things going on in the world around them and thought that would be a better alternative, which is, again, sad. Loneliness or isolation. Since it was a pandemic, many people had to isolate themselves, which led to the feeling of loneliness, and they were already isolated. So that's where that one comes from. Now let's look into ways that you can take care of your body and mind if you're feeling any of these. So I have my poster board, and the first one is that you should be getting enough rest. Try to get a sleep schedule that just feels right for you and your body. The second one is engaging regularly in exercise and physical activities. Be active. Go outside. Go on a workout. Do whatever you feel best for you. The third one, eat healthy. Finding a new diet could definitely help this, and even changing your lifestyle of eating is just, it's very, very good for you. The next one is say no to drugs, alcohol, or tobacco. So if you smoke or vape, you are already at a higher risk of COVID-19. And using alcohol to cope in any way is never good. You should always avoid drugs to cope unless you have been prescribed them by a doctor. The next one is limiting your screen time. Make an effort to not be on your phone as much, and just make time for you. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Worry about yourself. Number 6, unwind and re-energize. Set time for yourself. Watch a movie, you can paint, you can read, do what you want to do. Number 7, stay busy. Sometimes this is actually the best thing to occupy your mind with something other than the bad things that have been going on in the world. Number 8, connect with people. Connect with your family, your friends you haven't seen in a while. Just get out and talk to people that you need to. The next one is seeking help. It's okay to not be okay. I've always said that. If you feel like you need help, then get it for yourself. It's not embarrassing. And the last one, meditation. While meditating focuses on your breathing, and you just need to relax. It actually helps with anxiety a lot, meditating, and it makes you feel better. So, now that we know the things that we can do for ourselves, let's look at ways that we can help other people that are in our situation too. Number 1, you can listen to them. I mean, of course, you always need someone to listen to you. It's important to know someone is there. The next one is be there for each other. You should always be there for your friend, and it goes both ways. Find someone that can be there for you, because if they're in your shoes, you would want the same, and vice versa. The next one is make sure you give your friend reassurance. Reassure them that someone is there and they're going to be there with them through it all. The next one is distracting them. Try to talk to them and try to help them not think of what is upsetting them. That's actually one of the biggest things that I think is important, is to just distract them. The next one is being honest. You should always be honest with them, because if there's something going on that you think that is going to hurt them, then they need to be aware of it. The next one is giving them valid advice to get through it. It's the last one. Again, reassure them that it's going to be okay, and to get them through it. So let's summarize. So, what effects COVID-19 has on people? Number 1, depression, anxiety, insomnia, substance abuse, suicide or suicidal thoughts, and loneliness or isolation. Again, we look back to our self-care guide on our poster board, and get enough rest, be active, eat healthy, stay away from alcohol, drugs, tobacco, etc., just that kind of stuff. Limit your screen time, unwind and re-energize, stay busy, connect with your family and friends, seek help when needed. Meditation is also key. And how to help a friend who is struggling. Listen to them. That's one of the biggest things, listening. The next one, be there for them. Make sure you give your friend reassurance. Distract them. Be honest with them. Give them valid advice to help them through what they are going through. Lastly, be kind to yourself and to others around you because you never know what somebody is going through.